Welcome back, everybody. With this pandemic hitting a fever pitch and, of course, the economy far from a full recovery, car shoppers might think that purchasing a salvage title or rebuilt title vehicle is a cheap way to get some much needed transportation. But is it really? Well, our next guest has some things you should know, some things to think about before you hand over your money. Ed Herman is with the law firm Brown and Crouppen. We always appreciate his insight. Ed, here's my biggest concern. You got to be insured, at least at a basic level, to drive on the road.
Hmm?
Will insurance companies even cover a salvage or a rebuilt title vehicle?
Well, there's a difference. A salvage title technically is not legal for being on the roadways. So no, they're not going to come out and insure um, a salvage title unless you can earn and get it up to the level of a rebuilt title. Now, sometimes this is much easier than other times. What they want to do is avoid unsafe, undrivable cars being out there on the road. So if you can get your car fixed, rebuilt or repaired to the point where it will pass a state inspection, you can take that state inspection, get a rebuilt title, in which case you should be able to get insurance. But even then, the insurance company may not be inclined to give you full coverage, comprehensive and collision. They may give you liability coverage, which would be good enough to legally drive on the road. Very common example of where you can get a great deal on a salvage title is a perfectly good car gets a bunch of hail damage. And because the whole car got pocked
Right.
up with hail, it's technically totaled, but the car drives just fine. In a situation like that, you should be able to get a title for it that's clean enough to get it insured, but it's very likely that that insurance company is going to exclude hail damage because they're not going to sign you up. You pay 1 month's worth and you're like, oh, by the way, the whole car needs to be repaired. So that just makes
Mm.
intuitive sense. And just know that most times, if you buy a car for salvage, the assumption is that you're buying it for parts. That a junkyard has collected a bunch of cars. They have salvage titles on them, and they keep them there and they make them available for parts. That's what the assumption is. So if it's something you're going to actually want to drive, you're going to have to pass an inspection and get a rebuilt, repaired title.
Yeah, it is worth pointing out, just to kind of piggyback on that point, that if it's a salvage title, as Ed's referencing here, you may not be able to bump it back up to the level of rebuild. It may never be insurable again, right, Ed?
That's possible. It is possible, and it really just
Yeah.
depends on just be smart. What I don't want you to do is waste a bunch of money on a salvaged car, and then find out that to get it in a good enough condition, it's going to cost you so much money that you're going to regret the purchase. So I really would
Yeah.
only have you do it if you're the kind of person who really knows cars, can do the work themselves, or has a way to do it cheaply. Maybe it's a good value. Otherwise, I think of it like it's there for parts.
All right, Ed, thanks so much for the insight. We appreciate it. I know it's tempting in these times to save a buck, but you got to think about three steps ahead. If you want to get in touch with anybody over there at Brown and Crouppen, they'd be happy to help you. You can call them anytime at 314-222-2222 or check out their website, getbc.com.